This is the story of the Death of Wolverine, how the unkillable killer finally lost his healing factor and then life. Logan had lived longer than most men could dream and endured more pain than most could survive. But for the first time in his life, he was dying. His legendary healing factor, the very thing that had carried him through centuries of war, torture, and loss, was gone. His wounds no longer closed. Every cut, every broken bone, every scar now remains. For the first time, Wolverine was mortal. Word spread quickly. The news that the unkillable man could now be killed brought hunters, assassins, and enemies out of the shadows. Logan became prey, hounded across the globe. From the savage wilderness of Canada to the neon-lit alleys of Madripoor, he cut his way through those who sought to claim his head. Yet each battle took a heavier toll. Every blade left a mark, every bullet burned. The weight of mortality pressed down with every step. Logan's journey eventually led him back to the ghosts of his past, the Weapon X program, the place where he was broken and remade into a weapon. At the heart of it all was Dr. Abraham Cornelius, the twisted scientist who had once coated Logan's bones with unbreakable adamantium. Cornelius had spent decades chasing perfection, and now, with Logan weakened, he saw his final chance to finish what he started. Cornelius had gathered new test subjects, people captured and prepared to endure the same torturous process that Logan once suffered. But he lacked one thing: Wolverine's healing factor. Without it, the experiment was doomed. Cornelius sought to reclaim it, believing he could harvest what remained from Logan himself. To him, Logan was never a man, never a hero, only raw material. Logan arrived too late to stop the machinery from roaring to life. He found Cornelius in his lab, ranting about science, destiny, and perfection. Around them, terrified innocents lay strapped to tables, awaiting mutilation. Logan knew he had only one choice left. He could not heal, but he could still fight. With claws unsheathed, he carved his way through Cornelius's guards, every strike costing him blood, every wound left open. At last, Wolverine reached Cornelius. In his final, desperate act of defiance, Logan destroyed the machinery that would have damned others to his fate. The lab erupted in chaos. Adamantium, heated into molten form, spilled out across the floor. It washed over him, clinging to his flesh, encasing him in the very metal that had once defined him. Logan staggered forward, body burning, lungs screaming. Each step was agony, but he pressed on, driven not by survival but by defiance. He cornered Cornelius, who spat questions at him in rage and disbelief. What had Logan ever done with his life? Had he been more than a killer? More than a weapon? Logan gave no answer. His silence was his reply. He did not kill Cornelius in that final moment. Instead, he turned away, leaving the man to face the ruin of his dreams. Logan stumbled out into the open air, his body a living statue of cooling metal. He dropped to his knees beneath the setting sun. The light caught the sheen of the adamantium, turning him into something both grotesque and beautiful. His chest heaved, his claws still extended, his face frozen in grim determination. There were no last words, no dramatic speeches, only breath, slowing, and then silence. There, on a lonely cliffside, Wolverine died. Not with glory, not with comfort, but with the quiet dignity of a man who had lived too long and carried too much. Encased in adamantium, he became his own tombstone, a monument to suffering and endurance. For decades, Logan had been the eternal soldier, the berserker who could never fall. But death, inevitable and final, had at last caught up with him. And in that ending, there was poetry. His greatest curse, his healing factor, was gone. And so his greatest gift, peace, was finally his. The world mourned in silence. The X-Men, his students, his allies, all felt the absence of the man who had been their protector, their teacher, their weapon, their friend. Wolverine was gone. His story for the moment had closed, and yet, as all readers knew, death in the Marvel Universe is never the end. But Death of Wolverine was not about resurrection. It was about mortality, sacrifice, and the cost of living a life defined by violence. For once, Logan's fight ended not in survival but in surrender, and that made it unforgettable.